Have you heard of pink blazing? Have you done it yourself? First, what does it even mean? To understand that, we need to go over a few terms that originated in the Appalachian Trail community. Unlike many trails out west, trails in the eastern United States are blazed, meaning rectangles about 2 inches wide by 6 inches higher, painted on trees along the trail. White blazes are used for many trails including the AT. White blazing is simply following the blazes, hiking the trail in its basic form. From this, several other slang terms were born. Blue blazing is following a side trail to a shelter or a resupply point, or as a bad weather bypass. It's called blue blazing because many of these side trails are blazed in blue. After this, things get a little more metaphorical. Yellow blazing is hitchhiking or road walking to skip a section. Supposedly it's named after the yellow center lines on many rural roads. I've seen the terms green blazing for hiking while stoned, brown blazing for hiking while having digestive issues, aqua blazing for combining canoeing or kayaking with a hike, and red blazing for hiking while injured. Of these, the only ones I've ever heard in conversation have been blue blazing and yellow blazing. Hikers don't sit around talking in color codes. I've gone for weeks on end and not heard any of these terms uttered. They're more conceptual than practical. You may wonder why white blazing is not used much. Well, saying you're white blazing is like being a fish and announcing to all your schoolmates that you're wet. Other fish would find it a little weird that you thought it worth mentioning. As with a lot of slang, different people will have different takes on what they mean. This brings us to pink blazing. When a hiker adjusts his or her pace in order to match that of a potential romantic interest, or at least to stay in the same vicinity. I'm wording it like this to be value neutral. The term is usually used when a male hiker adjusts his pace to stay alongside a female hiker. It sometimes includes orchestrating encounters, for example by finding out where the other hiker is staying overnight and making an effort to be at the same place. If this sounds like stalking, well, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, sometimes it's a duck. I don't know if these terms have made it to the unblazed trails where they'd be transplanted metaphors at best. On 170 miles of Pacific Crest Trail hiking, I didn't hear them at all, and there weren't any blazes on any trees. It's the behavior rather than what we call it that counts. If you've been on the receiving end of pink blazing, tell us your story in the comments or let me know if you think I'm out of line with what I say here. Either way, it'll raise awareness. Now, to be clear, trails are social places. Striking up a conversation, hiking together, sharing a campsite, these are all parts of normal trail culture, and they should be enjoyed. What I'm talking about here is intentional rather than natural behavior. Here are 3 cases of pink blazing from my outsider perspective. I've made up trail names to protect the guilty. If you know hikers with these trail names, you can be sure I'm not talking about them. I overheard this in North Carolina, coming from a couple of male hikers who were tenting near me. One of them says, "Biscuit seems to have taken a shine to you, Butter Boy. I see some pink blazing in your future." Well, apparently the pink blazing occurred because Butter Boy's friend was soon hiking alone. Now, I lost track of Biscuit and Butter Boy until they showed up together at a hostel a week later. They both seemed pretty happy with the situation. I have no idea how long it lasted or how serious it was. I can say whatever it was consensual. Biscuit was clearly open to a relationship of some kind. In this case, pink blazing is just a term we throw on 2 people meeting and hiking together. It's the same way 2 people may meet at any common activity like school or work or herding goats. In that sense, the trail isn't any different than any other places where people meet and sweat and walk hundreds of miles together. I'd call that a happy pink blazing instance. For the next case, I was at the Kid Gore shelter in Vermont when Wormtongue came by and asked if I'd seen Eowyn. I hadn't, which disappointed him greatly, and he moved on. 20 minutes later, Eowyn came by and I told her Wormtongue was looking for her. She rolled her eyes, asked how long ago, then asked if there were any good stealth campsites around. It was obvious what was happening. Wormtongue was pink blazing. Eowyn didn't seem afraid, but she was annoyed. It was clear that she had no particular interest in him. His behavior was bordering on stalking, and if unchecked, it could go beyond irritation into actual fear. This is what I'd like hikers like Wormtongue to hear. Like the literary character, you may be a really nice guy, and maybe you're just a little misunderstood. You may really like Eowyn, but you don't know why she's hiking. She may be trying to get over a past relationship. She may be uninterested in relationships on the trail or at this point in her life. She may be married or engaged. She may be just wanting peace and quiet and to do her own thing. In other words, maybe she's just hiking for hiking's sake. And you might be interfering with her experience in a way that is unwelcome. If she's a biscuit, she'll let you know if she wants to be buttered. If she doesn't, hike your hike and let her hike hers. I'm not saying not to enjoy the company of others, male or female, just some self-awareness and be open to the fact that someone may not be as interested in you as you are in them. I know that's hard to hear. I'm lucky. I've been married 46 years, so I'm a disinterested observer. I'm no relationship expert, but I recognize that duck when it quacks. In case 3, I was talking to Gallant Knight, a senior hiker, and the subject of pink blazing came up. His definition of pink blazing did not include any particular motive such as a romantic interest. He told me he did it all the time. He would change his pace to hike with a young woman if he thought she would be safer than if she hiked alone. That's very noble of him, but it's also very patronizing. Certainly if a woman is being harassed or seems to be in danger, offer whatever assistance you can, but don't assume. If there's no understanding, then it can be creepy. This applies to any other hiker in need, man or woman. There's nothing wrong with adjusting your pace in order to talk with a fellow hiker as a perfectly natural, often subconscious social accommodation. I do it all the time, but when the time comes, I move on. And so should you. If I wonder if my company is welcome, I find an excuse to take a rest, like at a vista. It takes the pressure off the other hiker by providing them with an easy excuse to continue on. If they stop, I don't assume they have any interest other than enjoying my incredible wit, but at least I know I'm not being a pest. The Appalachian Trail community has expanded over the years. Unlike trails that require permits, the barriers to entry are very low. There are no natural controls like the need for fitness or expertise. Anyone with a backpack can drive to a trailhead and start hiking. What this means is the skills and motivation of the people on the trail varies widely. That accessibility is a double-edged sword. It gets more people involved in hiking, but increases the number of less conscientious hikers on the trail. Let's stay on the responsible side, whether it's not littering, not partying too loudly, or not practicing unwelcome pink blazing. If you appreciate this content, please like, share, subscribe, and comment on this or other topics you'd like me to cover. And if you haven't seen this video, please take a look at it now. Thanks for watching.